All right, part two. Let's think. Okay, this is a really good one. I can tell you guys. This was actually from my like first experience with Ivan when I first messaged him. Is I was asleep one night, and this really rattled me. This really drove me to like dive into all this stuff and to be like, yo, there's a total different type of reality out there than this BS. I'm gonna dive in and connect to that because it's so much better. So I was asleep. I know you guys can't see, my room is right over here. So like right outside this door is where the door is to go into my bedroom. And I was asleep, but something woke me up. And I was in the astral because I wasn't in my body. I remember floating over here. And it was a lady in like an old Victorian dress. Let me see if I could find a picture of that. This was crazy because it kind of freaked me out a little bit. Okay. So I woke up and I couldn't see her face because there was like that veil thing on old dresses, and like when women get married and their gowns, like the veil, whatever. There was that, but it was black. It was weird. The dress was white and black, if that makes sense. But I woke up and something wanted me to wake up. It was like whoever she was triggered me to get out of my body and to be aware. So it was almost like sitting up out of nowhere, but it was my spirit. It was my body. And basically, I saw someone like this. It was like that, with that kind of dress. But again, like I couldn't see the face. And she was floating like right over here. And then as soon as I noticed where she was, she turned. So if I'm looking from this way, she turned to the right, and then she walked past where I can see. And I just got the urge to follow her. She wanted me to follow her. So I remember thinking, like I don't remember floating there. I thought of being right there, and then instantly I was. And when I saw her, there's a certain lady on YouTube. I know it's not her, but she looked a lot like her. There's this lady who talks about like channeling and psychic stuff, and she's a young like Indian, like Hindu woman, and she looked kind of like that in a way. But this is the thing. I didn't know if she was a ghost or an alien or spirit, whatever. And that was before I really connected to any of this stuff. I saw a ghost when I was little, but it was different than that. I was right like face to face with her. So if I'm right here, her face was literally right here, much taller than me, almost looking down at me. I was looking up at her. And I got this androgynous male and female energies in her, and she was very powerful. But she almost looked like a dead person, which kind of not scared me, but I was like, I don't know if I can trust this. And she had a weird black necklace on with black lipstick. And she kind of just looked at me with this like intimidating face. Like she was doing something that I still to this day don't understand. And then I woke up. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't know what to do right now. So, I remember asking Ivan, and he got the name Rosa, and what he got was, he said, I see her as an Arcturian guide you have, but because you haven't connected to aliens yet, she took on a form of like one of your past wives. That's what he got. And it was really funny. He was like, sometimes these beings, because they're not, human, he's like, they don't know the best way to connect to you. So even though they don't mean to scare you or do something like that, sometimes they don't know better because they can't connect as much with the human emotions. So it's kind of like bad judgment on her end for using like a dead looking person, you know. But he got very Arcturian energy, said she was a guide, and she was there to awaken me. That's exactly what she did. And I haven't seen her since. I got an image of her like a month after that. I was on my treadmill, and while I was running, I got an image of an Arcturian behind me watching me, very feminine, very beautiful, very completely different. And I got that it was her, you know, I just did. Oh yeah, and then also a lot of times when I'm on my treadmill, I see flashes of light constantly. You know, a lot of times it's angels, aliens. I'll ask if there's someone around me, and then right in front of me I'll see a big boom of just green energy, green dot, white or blue, you know. It's always those colors. It's never red or purple or any of that kind of stuff. It's always green, blue, and white. I don't know why. But let's see. Yeah, and then on the treadmill a couple times I have seen a Lyran with like a crystal on their forehead. And they're just, I don't know what they're doing. That's all I saw, so I can't really explain that. I've had images of Atlantis kind of falling apart, and it's really, really creepy. I was listening to this song and I was working out, and the song had to do with like I don't know, just like the downfall of something. It was a metal band that does a lot of symphonics, and they talk about like old school Greek mythology stuff, basically. And for some reason, when I was listening to it, I got this very strong image that somehow it connected to me, and it was just like Atlantis falling, and all the people going into panic mode, and then all these reptilians just dominating. And then seeing like all these just people, all these lives lost. And I'm talking like, seriously, I'm talking like, imagine like a continent or like a couple states where all around there's just people gone all over the streets, all over, you know what I'm talking about? It's like all the life just boom, gone. And I almost get the image of the reptilian just looking at that kind of like, and I'm not trying to make this a negative thing at all, but it reminds me of in The Exorcist when she finally gives the old what's his name, not Karras, Father Merrin, when the older priest, when he has a heart attack and dies, and she's kind of sitting there looking like I just did that, you know. I got that feeling. Almost like because, you know, there's a downfall, people decided there's going to be the downfall, and then we're going to go through what we're going through now. I think the reptilians, because they're not all that powerful, they are, but they're not, they, like I've said, they like to make themselves look a lot better than they are. A lot of bullshit, basically, with them. It's kind of funny. Kind of make fun of them for that. But they kind of had this overwhelming look, like they had fear. Or like, no, I thought I heard my car alarm go off. Almost like they had fear, like they looked like, holy crap, like we just did this, you know. So that was really crazy. I could talk about the reptilian times too. I woke up one night, and again I was in the astral, and I was in my garage. And this doesn't make sense because my garage door was closed. Cause I live alone. I lock the door. I do all that stuff every night. And I don't live in a good neighborhood. So I have had times where I've fallen asleep with the garage door open, but you know, thank God no one's stolen anything. Anyways, so even though the garage door was closed, I remember waking up in spirit form. And again, I weighed nothing. And it's so weird when I'm in that certain form. And that just reminded me of another one. So this may be another half hour. I'm sorry, guys. But, you know, you guys want me to share my experiences with you. And here you go. You know, here it is. So I remember waking up and the garage door was open. And I was at, like, the end to where you're about to walk out of the garage into the driveway outside, you know. But I was there. and there was this reptilian standing right like 3 feet away from me, and he was just looking up at the sky. So I went to go look at what he was looking at, and basically what happened was I saw this beautiful blue like vortex. It was like, okay, I saw a beam of energy, but then there was energy swirling all around that beam. It wasn't connected. Like, it was still one thing, but it wasn't connected. And I don't know if you guys have seen, and I know I may lose some people here, I don't know if you guys have seen the original Mortal Kombat movie. You know, the one from the video game. How at the end, Liu Kang finally sees his brother again in spirit. It reminded me of that, where there's like the energy, the beam of energy coming up, and then you see all these spirits moving around in it. I saw that. I was seeing these beautiful spirits just flying, doing this stuff. And then so I went and I looked back at the reptilian again, and I just got a little shiver thinking about it. It's cool though. I love it. I remember taking the time to notice the detail in him. I remember looking down and seeing these feet. So like, and again, I'm just going off my memory here. There were these feet, and then there were these like extra long claws that just came over like huge. And this guy was just jacked, man. Like, he was on steroids. And I remember he was staring right at me that I was checking him out. And I remember looking into his eyes, and they were yellow and black with the big slit. But I remember seeing all of this sparkle and energy, like almost like a universe in his eyes moving around. And it was really weird. I felt like I was talking to myself, which I found out I was. Okay, so I'll get into that. But anyways, so I remember looking at him, and for some reason when I'm in that spirit form like that, I'm like pure. I'm almost like a child. It's really weird. I'm not in this personality. This personality, you know, I kid around, I'm funny, I smoke, I swear, I'm like all this stuff. But I remember looking at him and I was like, will you be my friend? Will you be my friend, and can we make a positive? And I was just like a child. It was so weird. It reminded me of a child asking someone to be their friend. And he looked at me kind of like I was dumb. And he was kind of like, sure? Like, okay. And then he was like, I want you to listen and I want you to look. I was like, okay. And he was like, this is a vortex. These are the spirits. You are opening yourself up to more. And I want you to remember this. I want you to connect to this. And he was saying, this is going to be an important time in the future, and this will make sense. And I was like, all right, cool. And then so I remember I woke up after that. And I was like, oh my God. So I woke up. I went outside. I was even looking around, you know, trying to look at this vortex, which I couldn't see with my physical eyes. I had a square. I had a cigarette, and I went back to sleep. And then I had my negative experience. And I woke up on a ship, and I was in like a hospital bed. And I'm starting to think that this may be the Draco reptilians. I'm not sure, because they were two completely different types. The first one I saw was very lean, smaller. Imagine I get Eliashon Dezendi and like the Agarthan reptilians. But then when I woke up on the ship, I think these are the Dracos. Not positive. Very intimidating. Scared the shit out of me. I woke up on the ship in this hospital bed, and I remember someone coming in. And then so I remember just closing my eyes and squinting, acting like I'm asleep. I remember just looking around. And I was looking around, and this green being, and I was almost too scared to like fully look at him because it was a lot. But dude, this guy's head was like massive. Like it freaked me out. And then so I quickly realized who he was and where I was. So for some reason I got very angry, And he was coming in, and I think he was just like almost like a nurse or something, and he was like giving me vital. I don't know. But he came in the room, and then I saw him, and I got really pissed off, and I was like, "Ha, caught ya! I'm dipping out of this place." And he freaked the hell out and like communicated to somebody with something, and I ran out of the room, and I was on a ship. And it was like a maze. I didn't know where I was going. And I saw these like negative, and I can't even describe them. It was an awful sick feeling though. There are these like negative energies on the floor, almost like parasites. And it was like, I don't even know, just an energetic, evil looking face. Very gross. And then I saw this woman come up behind me, and she grabbed me. And I was like, I don't know where I am. I need to get off this place. I'm not doing good. I literally was like, I'm realizing where I am. Like, this isn't going to work on me. I know I'm on a ship. I know these are reptilians, you know. And she was like, oh, really? Oh, so you know that? And I was like, yeah, I do know that. I need to get the fuck off here. And I woke up. And I woke up in a state of panic. So I asked Ivan about all those things. And as you guys can tell, you know, he's walked me through everything. So he's gotten me to where I am now. So I'm always grateful for his presence. I love him. And then so he was like, okay, the first night with the positive one, he was like, I see that's you. That's your aspect, opening up yourself to yourself, you know? I mean, we're all so deep. That's the beauty of this. There's so many closed doors where we close ourselves off. I mean, it literally takes lifetime after lifetime, a million times to keep discovering yourself, because that's how deep and beautiful we are, you know? We don't know that. We gotta discover it. So he was like, that's you, that's your aspect, you're opening up yourself. And then the second one, it's weird. And, you know, I'm not gonna agree on everything. He sees that being me too, but I don't. But, you know, I could be wrong. He's like, I see you as a reptilian commander. And the weird thing about that is when I went to the workshop and Jim channeled Spirit Coast looked directly at me. And I even was like, I don't know if he's meaning me. He looked at me and he was like, I see one of our commanders is here. And then so after, and you know, that like I had a very strong feeling. Like when he was looking at me, it was like he was talking out loud to everyone, but he was saying something to me inside, and it really like rattled me in a good and a bad way. Not bad, but like an unknown, so like a fear way, but not a bad fear. Just, you know, I didn't know. So afterwards, I remember I went up to Jim and I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be egotistical, but when you said that, I felt like you were looking directly at me. And I was like, I know Barbara has her connections with them, so I was like, I'm just making sure, were you talking about me? And I'm not trying to be Mr. Big Shot, but I felt it was directed at me. I feel like I should know because this is important. And he was like, yes, that was directed at you. It's been a year and you haven't figured out your Andromedan inside, and so it's time for you to learn about it. So I was like, okay. So that was really insane. And then Spirit Coast has been around. They don't like to be bothered as much, so I don't bother him. I feel like every time I've asked him for help, I'm pissing him off. You know? Kind of funny. At the workshop, not everyone saw the Yael, but I saw 2 UFOs. It was probably the same one 2 times. I saw those, and then the last night we were there, I actually saw the Yael, and it was like, oh my god. And that'll bring me to my first Yael experience, which I'll talk about. So when we were at the workshop, we did a lot of grid work. We did building the spiritual, building the light pyramid, I guess you can put it. And the Yael wanted us to do that so we can have contact with them. And then so, you know, nothing's perfect. So at the last night, we asked for the Yael to come, and physically they didn't come. And I felt them around. Like, I remember telling everyone, I was like, I know I raised my hand during the bonfire, and I was like, I know I waited like 20 minutes, but like 20 minutes ago, I got this feeling, they're here. I got an image of a ship, which, before I forget, that's something I want to talk about. It's really creepy how in the last couple days, there's that sighting of that like cigar ship, the rock UFO thing. That's really creepy because a couple days ago I was in my kitchen doing dishes. And a lot of times when I get a download, I'll quickly stop what I'm doing and focus, on it. Internally, just focus myself. And I was doing dishes and I got told, be aware of a cigar-shaped ship. There's something important that has to do with that. And that's it. And so I thought it was really awkward. And I was like, okay, I'll keep this in mind, I guess. And yesterday I woke up, I got my coffee. I went to watch a couple of videos, spiritual videos, and wake up like I usually do. And I come across this video of this cigar-shaped rock that people think is a UFO. Coming into like by Earth basically. And I'm like, dude, like this is weird. Something's gonna happen. You don't always get comfortable with these things, I mean, it's still a mystery. Anyways, just wanted to say that. With the Yael though, I can say this. So I remember they didn't come. Jim ended up channeling them, and they said that we rushed through things. We didn't do the light pyramid as effectively as we should. So they said next time we have a workshop or whatever, just gonna try again. So we're like, okay. But then at the end, and I accepted it, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I even said to people, because some people were complaining. I remember actually, I feel bad now. I remember being pissed off. That was the only time at the workshop I was mad. I remember actually being pissed off and being like, I rose my hand. And I was like, guys, Spirit's telling me you need to just be grateful. Because a lot of people were like mad. They're like, this sucks. We were looking for this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, don't you realize what we've done here? Like, we're in contact with them still now. You don't have to physically see them to be in contact with them. I was like, what I'm getting is just be grateful that we did everything we did. From the whole workshop, from everything we did. I'm never going to have a week like that in my life again, probably. It was the best week of my life. So it's like, super grateful. That was just funny. I remember being pissed off. And then at the last like 10 minutes when Jim was channeling Grendel, I remember getting an image of the Yael. And they looked so similar to the first what would you say, interaction I've had with them. So I knew it was them. And I saw them in my third eye. They weren't here physically, obviously. They weren't gonna do that. But I saw a woman and two guys coming out of the bushes, and they had this like weird shine in their eyes, and their eyes were very big, and they were kind of tilted, and they're kind of like that. I really don't know how to describe it. They're very peaceful, very loving, and they came out, and then I asked, I think it was Lana. I asked Lana and a couple other people if they saw them, and I described what I saw, and she said she saw the same thing. And then later on that night, because it was the last night, me and this girl, Chloe, were just walking around the lake talking about our experiences and how cool everything was. And then I saw a really big flash of light in the air, and I saw it was like a star going from one place to another within a second. There's no second, like it just kept moving. And I was like, what? And then Max and I, one of the nights went out with his laser pointer, which I ended up getting one too, and it does work. And we were stargazing, asking for them to come. And even though he doesn't believe we saw one of them, he thought it was like a satellite or something. I just intuitively know it was them showing themselves. That was really awesome. But the first time I had my contact with them, I remember I went to sleep one night. And that's what's great. It's like I don't have regular dreams anymore. I did last night. I had a really bad one because I feel like I've been losing control over my life in certain in certain ways. So I had a weird dream last night. I was bleeding out, which is very bad. I mean, I'm cool now though. But then I had the one where I was on a planet with like 6 different moons, and it was purple skies and different like non-human people. It was awesome. But anyways, with the Yael, so I remember I was playing with this girl, and I can just tell she was my daughter. She was probably, half a year, maybe a year old. Looked just like the other Yael. I know I've talked about this before. And I was in the 5th dimension, and I connected to the 5th dimension. And the 5th dimension is just the greatest feeling ever. It completely goes over the feeling of the 4th dimension's really cool, very metaphysical, space curious, dreamy, illusionary, but the 5th dimension just feels like you're in a river of love, man. That's just the best way I can describe it. Like a golden river of just the most positive love emotions you can feel. And that's constantly what you live through there. And I remember playing with my daughter, and she had this like skin suit thing on, and just like with the reptilian, I saw like galaxies and things in her eyes, and she was just so beautiful. And then they told me, they're like, every time you're stressed out or you're not feeling loved, we invite you here to basically get yourself back together. And I think that's amazing, because like what I said to people at the workshop is that people think, oh, aliens, it's not spiritual and you can't connect to them. And it's like, if you only heard what they talk about, it's exactly what you would think an angel would talk about. It's the truth. It really is. Beautiful, just amazing. There's so many others, but I've been talking for so long, I'm starting to lose track. Sasquatch beings are definitely one of my favorites. They were around. They were one of the first beings that were around me. I've been seeing them a lot lately. I really love the elementals. I really connect to them. Oh, that's reminding me of another one that I'll get into. Okay. And then I might as well stop it there. It's too long. Can always make another video. But I remember seeing the Sasquatch being, and they're like, I saw them one time as a blue being, like more of a multi-dimensional being, and then I also saw them as like a hairless being. So it's like what a Sasquatch looks like, like the Bigfoot, but without hair. But so kind, man. Just like that kindness you get from like an elephant or like a horse or something, just like I got that kindness. It was great. And I had one a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I know what I need to get into. Okay, then I'll end it there. A couple weeks ago, I know I talked about this. I woke up on a ship, and I was with a Yael, and they were reading off a description about me of something really weird. They were reading off like alchemist, like spiritual, something, and they were just like, it was weird. Like I was almost a patient in the hospital, and it's like when a doctor reads your report before they go in. I was hearing that, and then I got an image of them, and I think it's Daniel. I'm pretty sure it's Daniel from the Yael, who's my contact with them. So I think it was Daniel, because it looked just like him. So I mean, it had to be him, but I just don't know. Daniel's cool as fuck. Sorry, I swear. I remember signing a Pleiadian contract, being on a ship and signing a Pleiadian contract, and this was probably about 4 months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, maybe half a year ago, and I was on a ship with them, and I was reading over this like consent weird form. And the thing is, I know it probably wasn't physical. It was probably like energy-wise, like how there's light language. It was probably light contract, if you will. But I can't remember exactly what it was going into. But I remember signing it. I remember thinking this is like one of the best decisions I ever made. And so Ivan told me that I made a contract with the Pleiadians, and that I'm going to be in contact with them. And we kind of have this like alliance thing going on right now. And when I had that contact with that Arcturian, the physical contact, I was told that he comes from a Pleiadian-Arcturian alliance. So that could be where that's from. Okay, I got one more that I guess I'll talk about. And then I'll stop it there. Well, no, okay, I'll maybe add one or two more. One thing that's really weird, it wasn't a vision, but it was a synchronicity. I think it's important to just bring out. The day I decided to take the spiritual approach in life, I remember like 2 hours after I decided I was going to do this, and I was going to give my devotion to the spirit and the positive and unconditional love, I ran into a celebrity. I ran into one of my idols, which is really funny. I just think that's really, really crazy. The day I decided, where I had a lot of trouble with should I do this, should I not, and I decided to pray and get in meditation. I mean, like, yes, I'm deciding this is going to be hard, but show me the way. And I devote my life to the Spirit and to love and God and people. The day I decided to take that approach, 2 hours later, I went to Aurora, to North Aurora, to this place called Woodman's. And it's like a 24-hour, I don't know if you guys have a Meijer where you're at. It's kind of like a Walmart, but not ghetto. It's actually nice. It's like a Meijer. It's like a upscale Walmart, basically, big store. And they have a really, really, really good beer section. So I went to go get some beer. And I got out of my car, and as a lot of you guys know, I'm the biggest. I grew up on wrestling, like the WCW, WWF, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, you know. Those have been my idols growing up, which, again, I'm sorry, but that brings me to another vision that I completely forgot about. I should have been more awake and did this. I shouldn't have done it an hour after I woke up. But I saw Seth Rollins, and if you guys don't know who Seth Rollins is, at the time, I think he was WWE champion. I'm not sure. He didn't have the belt on him. But he comes into Illinois a lot. He actually does. Because I actually was gonna be a wrestler. I went to like check out schools and training, and I know how to do all the moves, and I found out how much the tuition was and all that stuff. I have a huge reptilian past life with wrestling, so that's what I'll get into. That's why I'm very connected in this life. And the McMahons are, I can tell you guys, they're fully reptilian for a fact. But this is Seth Rollins. So if you guys have ever seen him on TV before, I ran into him, and he was a complete dick to me, super rude. But basically, I got out of my car and I went to go get some beer, and I saw him with these two like bodyguards. I'm like, that guy looks a lot like Seth Rollins. I'm like, he's very tall. He's like 6'5". And Seth has this distinct tip of blonde hair that he like dyes at the back of it, the bottom of his hair. He has like black with like a weird certain part that's blonde, and he had it, and I was like, no way. So like, you know, a little fanboy, I was kind of like not following him, but I was trying to like walk up to him. I was trying to check him out. And then so I was like, excuse me, Seth. And he has a really raspy voice, and he was just like, what? And I was like, hey, just want to say have a good day, man. Thank you for being here and seeing you. And you made my day. And the thing is, I was the only person in this store, because I know not everyone watches wrestling nowadays, especially now. It's in the worst times it's been in. No one knew who he was, so he didn't have he didn't have anyone but me coming up to him. So like, I don't get why you'd be a dick, you know. I was just like, hey, you know, thank you for making my day, for meeting you. Hope you have a good day, man. You know, bye. And he was just like, all right, no, go the F away, and blah 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 blah. I was like, screw you, man, God. But isn't that funny how it's a synchronicity, how the day I decided to take this as my life, I ran into like one of my biggest influences at that time. Just very interesting. And then the two more, and then I'll end this. With the reptilian one, I've had so many dreams of wrestling them. And it's really weird, literally like levitating and floating down the ramp, like the arena ramp. And then there's like aliens, you know, like, okay, I shouldn't say aliens, like Zeta-looking beings, and then reptilians and insectoids and humans, and the crowd is like the crowd's like everybody. And I'm literally like levitating, floating down to the ring. So I know how that feels. It's really, really weird. I like levitate down the ramp and then go into the ring, and I remember like wrestling these just like huge giant reptilians, you know. But I wasn't one of them. Like I've had lives as them doing that, but some of them I wasn't one of them. It's a very Syrian, maybe Orion type of feel to it. So maybe I was a Syrian. And that reminds me of another dream I had around the time I had that one. It was really random. Like, this isn't a vision, but I had a cane. I didn't need it for walking. Like, I was fine. And again, I was levitating. Like, I have a lot of dreams of floating all the time. But I had a cane that was made out of a crystal. And again, I didn't need it to walk because I wasn't walking. I was floating. But I had this weird, like, what's that Fez hat, you know, like from like India. At the end of Ren and Stimpy, Ren had one on, that small red hat, you know. I think in Aladdin he wears one of those. I was wearing something like that. You know what? Because I've seen my higher self wear that. Maybe I was getting a vision of my higher self. I don't know. But I wore that, and I wore these weird spiritual clothes. But I had this cane that was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet, and it was just glowing, and the energy was moving inside it, and it was red and pink and blue, and it was very powerful. Like, I felt like I was a wizard at that moment. I don't know why that came to me. And then with I completely lost track in the last video with the multiple, the other realities. I'll end it with this because this is really important. Like I said, I lost track, but Ivan was like, yo, like, you really, really need to talk about this because not a lot of people are. And like I said, he was like, you're kind of like discovering gold here and you don't realize it. So there are multiple realities to Earth for a fact. And sometimes I'll get these visions. It's been a while, so I think things have toned down. But part of the reason I was worried about that cigar-shaped thing is because the alternative realities has to do with reptilians. And I kept seeing this reptilian ship coming in, and for some reason, I'm starting to maybe think that rock thing may be it. And I'm not too happy about that, but we'll see. But anyways, in the other realities, it's here on Earth, you know, I don't really have to go into detail about that. Nothing different, really. But there was like a civil war or a war that broke out in between people. And when that happened, all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of UFOs just came in and started affecting people, sucking some people up, sucking energy out of them and driving them crazy. There's one ship in particular that looked like that, like I know I've talked about this before, like that mothership from Close Encounters, like sucking up cars of people, and just, I couldn't even imagine it. I was like, this cannot be happening. And then so people were running away, they were afraid. One of them tried, I remember it sucked onto my third eye, and then I felt my energy being drained. And then a lot of the ships, it's really weird. They were smaller than you would think. Almost imagine like a drone, you know? So if there's that talk about that fake alien invasion, I already feel like I went through it, I swear. And a lot of, and I have a connection with these, I don't know why. But a lot of black triangular UFOs as well. And I found out that it was reptilian. And the creepy thing about it is, because they can do this, not everybody saw them, which really bothered me. A lot of the spiritual people, a lot of the people who connect to this, and yeah, Ivan, Jim, I remember all those people, they were in this reality too. So, and all you guys are there as well. And basically, though, only like the people who were very connected to stuff could see them. So part of it was half of the people thought the other people were crazy, because people, imagine going outside and then all these people are running and screaming and acting like it's the apocalypse, but you can't see anything, you know. So of course you're gonna be like, these people are crazy. And I was one of the people that, you know, saw this stuff happen. So I remember like connecting to source, and somehow that was like stopping these UFOs. Like I was stopping them in their tracks by connecting to source. Which doesn't really make sense. I was connecting to source, and then I found myself in the field. And I escaped the city where I was. Like I was driving it, like it wasn't all in one thing, you know? It was like I was somewhere, and then quickly I was like driving in a car somewhere, and then I was in the fields, you know? I mean, I know that's how dreams work. It's not all clear. But I was in this field. Something drew me to this field. And it was almost like a kaleidoscope, 2001: A Space Odyssey, weird diamond-looking, multi-dimensional thing in the sky, almost like a Stargate or a portal or something. And I was looking up at this thing, and then this is the weird part that's not going to make sense to people. I started seeing around me all these like multi-dimensional animals, and it almost reminded me of like a cartoon version, like cartoon animals like running at it. I can't describe that. I've never had anything like that before. I have connected to a lot of weird like cartoon looking dimensions because the colors are so strong. It's the best way to connect to it. I actually talked to Ivan about that because I was like, am I losing my mind here? And he was saying the cartoon dimensions, like it looks like that because we just can't perceive that much energy. And I've been there before with the golden Arcturians. They're like the Archangel Arcturians, the orange ones. They called me in one time to do like a mediator counseling session between two Arcturians. And I was kind of like, guys, I can't follow this. Like, this is too much for me. And so I kind of left. Anyways, though, these like animals were around me. I can't describe them. Really, I can't. I mean, maybe like a unicorn's the closest to describe it. But then I was looking up at this diamond thing, and then instantly it teleported me. So when I looked and connected to it, it connected to me, and then I ended up quickly, like boom, it was like a jump room, you know, like a jump room to Mars, like a portal. I was on a ship leaving Earth, looking at Earth. And that was when I had an experience of, I don't feel like I'm on Gaia anymore. I don't feel her energy. And it was a very scary feeling. It wasn't horrible, but because we're on this planet, we haven't left this planet, you know, like you're always kind of grounded in a way with Gaia. So having that absence of Earth was a very scary feeling. But we were going away from Earth. And then so Ivan confirmed it. I had a big old session with him about this, and he was like, I see another one of your aspects was on the ship and basically got you out of there. So I don't know where that aspect is now. And that's connecting me to another vision I had, so I wonder if these are connected. Like, this is just coming in right now. I had a vision of being at a store that was not on Earth, and it was like multi-dimensional candy, like a candy store. And it's kind of gross. A lot of the candy was in like human shapes, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like, you know, human on a stick, nothing like that. But like, there was like, okay, for example, it looked like an Asian guy riding a bike, but that was like a plastic, and inside it was gelatin, like a candy. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's not like a gross cannibalistic thing. Okay, imagine if you go to a candy store and there's like gummy aliens, you know? It's like that, basically. I don't know why that's connecting to this, you know? But anyways, Ivan was like, you know, this is very real. No one's talking about this. You really need to talk about this. He was like, your other aspects are having a mental breakdown right now because not everyone can see this stuff, and so the people who see it are getting ridiculed, and everyone's being thrown into institutions and thinking they're crazy, blah, blah, blah. He was like, you know, this was meant to scare you. He was like, this is definitely not going to scare you in this form. He was like, this, and this is why I say all the time, if you guys think this is as worse as it can be, you guys have no idea. because there are other realities living right now of Earth that are more manipulated. I haven't even said the reptilians were able to infect and basically take away the power of the positive beings. So imagine all your spirit guides and all your guides and Arcturians, Greys, Yael, Pleiadians. Imagine all of them being negatively affected so they won't help you anymore. I mean, it got that bad. And I had those visions like literally 4 nights in a row. I would go to sleep and I would continue the dream. So I would do Reiki sessions. I would send Reiki to my other selves. But it was creepy because I kept getting an image of this like reptilian ship coming to Earth. And it was in the exact shape of that cigar thing that was discovered like 2 days ago. So that's the big issue for me. And then I had another one of, there's another reality where I'm still living with my parents. And I'm going to be honest, guys, it's really hard living multiple lives, living all this, you know? I mean, I don't get rest because as soon as I rest here, I go somewhere else. So, in a way, and I'm not trying to make myself sound cool or anything, but by definition, it's almost like I'm a multi-dimensional being. I mean, I know we all are, but I'm experiencing it because I'm living this life. I'm living multiple other lives. And a couple days ago, I had a vision of that too. So it's still continuing. I was in like a hospital or somewhere, and they were trying to make me take these pills, and I was asking what these pills were for, and they just were like, "It doesn't matter, you're gonna take them," and I refused to, and I was like trying to escape this hospital, and then I woke up and I was like, "Great, I'm doing that now." But Ivan was like, "This is very real. This was used to scare you." He said, "I imagine others are going to receive these visions too." And he was like, "I think this is meant to make them not want to connect to aliens." He's like, "I think that's the whole point of it." But he was like, "For you, I don't see this really happening. I don't see this affecting you like that." And then with that other reality, and it goes to show, again, there are other realities besides that, like there's multiple, never stops. I'm telling you guys, each one of you guys right now are probably living at least like 50 different lives, for a fact. And a lot of them are like how I'm me here. Like you look how you look here, there, because it's Earth. And then there's one where I'm still living with my parents. And my parents never got divorced, or separated. So imagine how that was telling my mom that. Telling her, because she's finally opening to this stuff, and she's getting a lot of connections now too, which is really cool. But imagine telling her that, because she hates my dad right now. Imagine telling her, hey, you and dad are still together in a different reality. But I was living with them still, and the sky got dark, like I don't know where. So I went to go get Yogi. Yogi is one of the dogs that we have. Yogi Bear. He's a black lab. Mr. Dude, Mr. Man, he's awesome. So I remember he's with my dad right now in Wisconsin. But I went outside, I got Yogi because I was, I knew something was happening. And this gigantic ship came up. And I haven't had anything as vivid as these dreams. Like it's been like a couple months now, so they kind of stopped. But this big gigantic ship came and started opening up. So I got Yogi inside. I told my parents to go and stay safe, and I was going to handle this. And I just, like, intuitively was so calm, and all these people were seeing these UFOs, and it was all happening all over again. But I was calm, closed my eyes, and I just, like, got in a meditative state. And one thing that Dr. Max, I love saying that now, doing this and just, like, centering your energy and your heart chakra, and just balancing yourself. So I closed my eyes and I used that, so I can tell you, Max, I used what you taught me in a different reality. Total mind blown right there, man. So I remember closing my eyes and doing that, and I remember this ship just lifted me off the ground, and it was almost like getting beamed up. But the thing is, my eyes were closed the whole time. I felt like I didn't need a vision. I was so connected. I didn't need the vision, I didn't need it. The physical, I didn't need it. So my eyes were closed. I remember going up and just like going into the ship. But but I don't remember after that. And again, I don't know why I'm getting this, but this just connected me to the Yael thing I was telling you about, of being on the ship and them reading my charts. Wow, I wonder if I went there. I don't know. Very interesting. Is there anything else? I'll probably stop it there just because that's too much. The only last thing I'll bring up is, after I first started awakening to all this stuff, I got basically harassed by either the MIB or the reptilians. I think it's the MIB. They were wearing the suits, and they looked very evil, very bad, horrible vibe. I was in my bed, and it was literally like a day or two after I had my first connections, and I was starting to really accept all this. So they wanted me to not awaken, and to not do what I'm doing now. So basically what happened was, I woke up in my bed, they came into my room, and they held me down, and I looked at them, and I thought they were gonna, I don't want to get into that really negative stuff, but I was like, what are you guys doing? Why are you trying to attack me? Are you trying to, do stuff to me? And then they just smiled and laughed, and I was looking in the eyes, and the eyes were not normal. Even though they kind of looked like humans, I can tell it was a fake. They were not human. It was a total, what do you call that? What do you call that? They have them on those little Pokemon cards where it's flat, the hologram, whatever it's called. Yeah, I mean, it was totally just that fakeness, putting over my eyes, And then I woke up, and the scary thing is, when I woke up, I still felt them there. So I knew that I was in the astral and that they were still around me, but my body told myself to go into the 3D because they couldn't affect me there. So imagine waking up knowing that whatever you just experienced happened and they're still there, but you went to like the lower dimension, so they're not gonna be right there. That was really scary to deal with. So I haven't even told Ivan that. So I wonder. I don't know. I may ask him that one day. I may say, "Hey, man, I went through this. Just never really told you. What do you think?" So I don't know. So yeah, I'll stop it there, guys. That's 2 hours of talking. I apologize, but I know that there's gonna be somebody out there that this gets to. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. Thank you, guys. These are just the images. Like I get these without trying to. Sometimes with past life stuff. Like that's something else I can talk about really quick, and then I'll stop. I have a past life that keeps coming back to me. I think it's the Arcturian one, where I knew I had to go to Earth in this lifetime. I have a feeling it's whatever I did right before this life, because I remember being almost this like Arcturian, or this like, I was more of a human though. I'm getting more of like a fairy looking being. Maybe it was a Pleiadian because I work with Arcturians. But I'm getting this image of these like pointed ears, long white hair, wearing this like robe thing, but it was dark, it wasn't white. And I remember looking at Earth thinking, I have to go. Like, I just have to go. I have to go there. I got to do what I got to do. I got to bring what I have to bring. And I had a family, and the family was not okay with it. Not happy with it. I had a wife that was very unhappy with me going. But I remember telling her that I'll connect, and basically it was almost like, and this is like very big for me personally. I remember the feeling of saying like, I have faith in God, so there's a chance that I can wake up and connect to all this. So it's not like I'm not going to connect to you forever, or until I come back, whatever. I remember saying to myself, there's a chance that I'm going to bring some of this back, and look where I am now, and I'm doing that now. So I'm sure they're happy. And when I've connected to the Arcturian, who likes to go by Steve, because he brings humor and he's very funny. I see it around his territory, his Arcturus territory. I don't know where. All I can tell you is the yellow planet where they just work with energy, the simple Arcturians. It was somewhere that has to do with them because he's the one who showed me this, and that's why they're my people, very personal with Arcturians. Even though I channel other beings, if I can channel just the Arcturians, if I was like I've said, just the Arcturian guy, I'd be totally happy with it. That's fine. They're my strongest connection. They're great. I don't see anything wrong with them. They're very cool. But I mean, there's so many other beings out there, so I'll leave it with that. So thank you guys. I will be back. I will be back with another channeling in the next couple of days. I'm just trying to get myself healthy, raise my vibration up more. I want to do more. So instead of just shooting out videos, I'm taking the time to be like, okay, what do I need to increase in my life, and reflect on what I need to do in order to keep going on this path, So I'll keep it there. So thank you guys. Love y'all. Have a good Thanksgiving. Eat some good food. I'm probably just hanging out here. So see you guys in another one. So all right, peace.